When you have an iPhone that does not power on, one of the key tools you need is a thermal camera. This allows you to locate shorts on a motherboard, and this is a macro lens. This allows you to get really close up to the motherboard to see which is the shorted component. In the past, I've always used the Seek Compact Pro as my main thermal camera because it performs very well. It allows me to quickly find shorts on a motherboard, and I've tested other thermal cameras, and this one by far has been the best. So today we're gonna see if the P2 Pro and macro lens is even better. I've been told that it is, and it also costs less. So let's see how it performs, because I do have an iPhone 6s here for data recovery, and there's a short on it. Let's test it out and see how they compare. All right, so let's go over the most important thing that you guys are probably all thinking about is the price. This is $299 for the thermal camera and the macro lens. Now this is the USB-C version, so currently this one is only for Android. I believe they might be making an iOS version. Either it's available now or in the future, but $300 for the whole camera and macro lens compared to the Seek Compact Pro, which is $440. That does not include the macro lens, which is about another $50. So take into consideration the price. Now, another thing you gotta also consider is the specs. Now, for me personally, I found that the specs aren't really the most important thing because specs aren't everything. It's really the whole experience, the whole ecosystem. And you can see here that the thing that does stand out is the 25 Hertz refresh rate. That is how smooth the image is when you're moving under it. So let's see how that actually performs and if it's even useful. I see a lot of people mention that the Seek, which is 9 Hertz, is like really slow, but I've never had any issues with that. And another thing is the app. Now you can see here one of the reviews says that the software crashes constantly. That's a really bad sign. That means the app development wasn't that great. Now my Seek Compact Pro app has never crashed. It always works. It's very solid and consistent. I never have to mess with it. I just plug it in and it's ready to go. So that is something to also consider is, you are paying less, but also, does the app work? Is the image clear? Does it actually focus on the short that you're trying to find? So let's see how that compares to real life. And let's go ahead and unbox this. Now the fun part is unboxing it. This is very fancy packaging, which is pretty nice. It's always a good first impression. We open it up and here it looks to be like some little baggies for storage or for transport. The manuals, which are in Chinese and in English. This is probably like a warranty card. Then this is the actual camera. So as you can see, it's super tiny. And then it does have a little sticker here. So that's the thermal camera itself. It's USB-C, and there's no buttons or anything, which is fine. We don't need any buttons. All right, what else is in here? All right, so there's a USB-C cable extension, which is great because it's best not to plug in stuff like this directly into the device because it can break the connector. So when you have an extension, you're better off breaking this and replacing this very easily versus breaking this. I guess real quick for reference, here's how big the thermal camera is. It's as wide as the iPhone 6s. All right, so let's open up this macro lens. Look at that, it's just all there's in here is the macro lens and nothing else. This thing is supposed to be magnetic, and look, there's like a little cover on it. So I do see there's like some little rings inside, but I don't think they do anything. So let's stick this on. So just like that. So if you do choose this as your main thermal camera, the way you would use this is for like looking up boards real close. You put the macro lens so you get real close. And then if you are working on a, like for example, a MacBook and you need further field of view, then you would take it off. So that's pretty cool. So now let's plug it into a phone. So on the English side of the instructions, it does say to search for P2 Pro in the App Store. Also, very interestingly, it says, please do not violently disassemble the product. So definitely, I do not plan on doing that. So what I'm gonna do is search for P2 Pro. I remember last time I tried searching what they said and I did not come up with the app I needed. So for example, right here it says P2 Pro and the logo does not match any of their marketing stuff, so it did throw me off, and the company name is in Chinese, so I have no idea what that says. But if you scroll down, it does look like this is the app because there's thermal images. So let's give this one a try. All right, the app is installed. Let's click open. Yes, agree. And here's like a little walkthrough. All right, experience now. Please plug in the device and turn on OTG function. So I'm gonna use the extension cable just because it'll be easier. And let's plug this in. While using the app, allow, check that box. So it's gonna say allow access to the camera, check the box so it always says yes, and let's see if it actually works. All right, so there we go, we have the image. So I currently have, what is happening? All right, that was weird. I think the cable might be bad or maybe the charging port on my device. But here you go, that is my image there. So let's go through some of these settings. All right, so I'm currently in advanced mode. So you turn that on here in the settings, professional thermometry. All right, you guys can go ahead and make fun of me there in the comments about that. But here in the bottom, there's a few different settings. So if you want to display different temperatures on the screen, you push a button and you can tap different points. So on the upper corner, you can see the different points and their different temperatures. And you can click delete. If you want to do a line, so it gives you readings across that line. Next, you can do a box. So you get, some readings from that, whatever is in that box. And then the scale. So if you want to be able to manually increase, like adjust the thermal image, like the temperature ranges and stuff, or you could just lock it so it's automatic. Then there's like a little floating button that you can click to change different modes. So if you want to flip this or flip it around, there you go. So this is much better. That's pretty cool. I don't think the Seek even has that. All right, image settings. So this is actually might be useful. So if you click the little things here, this is default, and you can adjust the contrast. So you get different look to it. So you can see how this has now blacked out the background. So this might come in handy when we're working on a board. Now it'd be nice if this was also automatic, but it's not. And then we have variable corrections. Honestly, this is more like way too deep in the thermal settings. That doesn't really matter to me. And then the color palette, so whatever one you like best. Personally, I like the iron red. It seems to be the most visibly, for like finding shorts, it's the most clear for me. So let's go ahead and grab the macro lens, stick it on there, and then you can see how it can now, it's out of focus, so we have to be closer to an object. So let's get a board and see how this works. All right, so now we're gonna test without a macro lens. This is an iPhone 6s that has a short. I'm gonna use the DT80 to turn it on. And when this goes black, it means there's a short on the board that is causing too much power to flow to even power this LCD. So we're gonna push power, it goes black, and there should be a short on the motherboard, and the thermal camera should pick it up. So let me record this. All right, I'm gonna record this on the phone and display it on the screen. So hopefully you guys can see. But because we have no macro lens, we have to be far away. There's no the Seek has a ring so you could focus. Unfortunately, this one does not. So one thing you'll notice is there's heat here towards the cable, and then there's also some heat on the upper left. So if I turn this off, turn it back on, you kind of see where the heat is. Let's mess with some of these settings to see if we could maybe get a better image. So this is the contrast. I'm going to adjust, see if it helps. Seems like if I increase the contrast, it does kind of help with the image clarity. All right, so this is without a macro lens. It's not too bad. I mean, here you can see how the 25 Hertz is very smooth movement. Now let's slap on the macro lens. That means I can move in closer. And reset the contrast and brightness, because I feel like these contrast and brightness is really what we need to, so we go to the little bubble here that's floating on the screen. We want to click image settings, and let's play with that. So I do see on the bottom there's a chip that's heating up. So I turn off the DC power supply and turn it back on. Let me know in the comments, can you spot the shorted cap? Now on the bottom you're seeing the MOSFET heating up, which is really, it's actually normal for that to happen because the shorted on VCC MAIN, but we're connected to the battery connector, BAT VCC. So it does have to flow through that MOSFET to create the heat. And actually it's not too bad. I do see the shorted cap, but also already kind of knew that. Seems like I had to turn it on and off to really get to be able to spot it. Now with the default settings, this is what it looks like. It's not bad. I mean, the image is pretty clear, and you do have to be at a fixed distance. Now if I click on scale and see if maybe I could adjust this to get a better view. All right, so you could slide the scale on the right and see if you could spot the short. I mean, it's not bad. For $300, I mean, I wouldn't be too upset over this. Personally, I still find the Seek is better as far as the image quality and spotting the shorts. I don't mind the 9 Hertz refresh rate because of it's very clear where the short is. So let me get that here for reference. All right, so now with the Seek Compact Pro, we have, let me turn on the short. I am far away right now, so this does have a focus ring, so I could adjust that and get a clear image. And based on my distance and the focus it's at, I can see there's a clear image there. So I turn it off, turn it on. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Now that you're looking at the Seek with no macro lens, I spot the short a lot clearer. Like there's a lot more contrast to it. I didn't have to mess with any settings. I just ready to go. Now if I pop in the macro lens, which I will link down below in the video description as well, I could get in way closer. I'm gonna turn on the power, and look at that. You could see the IC heating up, and it has a lot of contrast. So you can see the exact component and then the surrounding components. You can tell there's something different. Then here's a shorted cap, and you can spot both together. Now let me adjust the focus. I could be a little further away. For me, this is much better performance overall. Even if the specs are slightly different, you know, the 9 Hertz is not too bad. Look, I'm gonna move the board. You can't really tell. And for what I'm doing, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. The refresh rate, what matters is See how the image, like the colors, like pinpoint what I'm trying to find, which is a shorted component. So it's off, I'm gonna turn it on, and look at that, it like just glows and stands out in the image. Also that cap there on the upper left, you can see how it glows. So this is really what I need to see. If the P2 Pro had this same type of image quality, not necessarily the quality, but it did this kind of pinpointing type of feature, then I think it would do much better as far as a thermal camera that I would recommend. Personally, I still find the Seek Compact Pro with macro lens and my stand to be the best solution so far from all the ones I've tested, because this specific feature here, look, it's off. I'm gonna turn on the power supply. You can see the two components that are heating up. Now you do have to understand how to diagnose this and how to use thermal cameras to lead you to the solution. A lot of people will see, that chip heating up and just replace it and think that's how you solve it. But there's more to it. But the tool is only as good as the technician, and as a technician, maybe watching this video, you'll learn that the MOSFET is normal to heat up when there's a short somewhere else. So the short is actually here. We're connected to the battery connector, so it has to flow. The current has to flow through that component. Anyways, I prefer the Seek. I mean, hands down, Seek is much better in my opinion. What do you guys think down below in the comments? Let me know. Let me go back to this one just so I can be sure I am making the right assessment. Yeah, it just doesn't give you that same, clarity. I mean, no doubt you do see the shorts. You do see there's a component down here and a component up there, but it's just not the same as the Seek, in my personal opinion. Maybe you guys disagree. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys are seeing. Am I just spoiled and biased towards the Seek because I've been using it for so long? I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad thermal camera, especially if you use it for other things like outdoors, looking at people making weird thermal images. If you want to check your HVAC, if there's any leaks, so you can see, my monitors, my microscope, my camera lights and all that. So it does have a clear thermal image, but for board repairs, for finding shorts, and if you have the money, I would still recommend you spend the extra money and get the Seek. That's just my personal opinion. You're free to do as you please, but I will link to everything down below, whether it's this one, the Seek, the stand. If you do like the idea of the P2 Pro and you want to stand so that you're not have your hands full trying to, kind of like I was, is what you can do is get my stand, attach your phone to it, your Android phone, and then double-sided tape. Use double-sided tape to attach it to the bottom. And now you have a P2 Pro stand, right? So if you have it like this, so imagine this is adhered, and then you now have a board here, and look at that. Now if you had this adhered down, it could be a hands-free thermal camera stand, so it makes things a lot easier. Either way, you guys saw the different solutions, so make up your own mind, but I've made up my mind. I'm still a fan of Seek. So what do you guys think? Is this a good thermal camera? Infiray P2 Pro. For the price, it's decent. I wouldn't say it's the best. I don't have a second best. I guess this is kind of the second best from all the ones I've tested, because it does provide a clear image of the board when you have the macro lens and you're close up to the components. The one downside of this thermal camera is there's no ring to focus. So the only way to focus is just the distance from the object you're trying to focus on. So that is one downside. I don't feel this focusing as well. But for $300 for a thermal camera, macro lens, and even extension cable, you can get away with using this for a while. Maybe in the future, the Infiray team will see this video and take my advice in that adding that feature where it kind of pinpoints the image automatically. No need to play with settings or adjust the temperature range and all that. I think that would make it a much better thermal camera. Also, it's USB-C, so I think you could plug this into a computer, like a Windows-based computer, and it'll work, but I haven't played with that yet. So let me know down below what you guys thought. Do you guys plan on getting it? Do you plan on getting a Seek? Do you just rather stick to freeze spray, so the old school method? I want to hear you guys' feedback. I will link to everything in today's video down below. Appreciate all you guys here who stuck around here till the end. I'll see you guys on the next one.